few miles from Rampart.
In addition to all the shootings, suspects are four male Hispanic gang members wearing white clothing in a Chevrolet Suburban.
A call came over the air, shooting in progress.
The ongoing war against gangs rages in Hollenbeck just as intensely as it does in Rampart.
Let's go. Can't let you get too close. All right, I got you. Come on. Don't get any closer. Hold it up. Hold it up. Don't turn him right here.
All right, keep walking your left now. Keep going. Get on your knees right there. Get on your stomach. Don't move.
No weapons were found in the vehicle.
They're going to go through it up there. But
on one given weekend, we had seven homicides, so it has...
7 homicides just in Hollenbeck?
Just in Hollenbeck within a 72-hour period.
Yeah. And all gang related?
All gang related.
Central units are 1X52, 1X52.
You want to be a gangster?
If it comes to me, yeah.
this is one of the gangs crashes for years, the Primera Flats crew. It's just one of 407 gangs operating in Los Angeles. A city police say now has 63,000 gang members.
Tell me, what's tomorrow for you? What's next year? What's your dream?
My dream? I don't got a dream.
You have to have some dream.
If you're stuck like this in the situation that we're in, dreams are hopeless, you know what I'm saying? Living like this, we live day by day.
It is that lack of hope, mixed with drugs and money and guns, that creates the volatile culture crash cops are mandated to fight.
Do you think that maybe the wrong message seeped down to the LAPD that they could use by any means necessary as long as they were suppressing these people who had caused so much terror in the community?
I think clearly that some people in the department operated under the idea that they could break the law to enforce it somehow, that these people were less than full citizens.
Fighting a war against an unpopular foe, some officers crossed the line and took on the ways and rituals of their enemy.
The gangbangers on the street call them another gang, a gang in blue, a gang that doesn't have to play by the same rules that we do. And certainly that mentality became a part of what Rampart Crash was about.
Rampart Crash had a swaggering slogan: "We intimidate those who intimidate others." But according to testimony from the disgraced Officer Perez, they also had a lot more than that. Some of the cops wore a macho tattoo, a grinning skull with a cowboy hat. They had secret hand signals and secret ceremonies during which they awarded plaques to cops who shot gang members. One level if they just wounded the guy, a really special prize if they killed him. In other words, they had all the trappings of a gang.
It's kind of scary to believe that this is happening, but it is happening.
60s activist Tom Hayden is a veteran California state senator and one of the early voices expressing outrage over police misconduct.
There's signs, there's parties after somebody's been killed or framed. I know as I'm saying these things in a matter-of-fact voice that many viewers will not believe it. I'm only repeating what police themselves have acknowledged.
2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? Rampart!
Still, many citizens in Los Angeles, including some from the Rampart district itself, chose to support the police, thankful for cops who are tough on gangbangers.
And I appreciate that!
The overwhelming correspondence that we get from the public is that they're supportive of the department.
From current Chief Parks to former Chief Gates, the talk was of a few bad apples in an otherwise great police force.
It's still the best in the country, but it's going to take a long time to outlive this disgrace.
The city of Los Angeles had and has a right, among other things, to a fair and just system of policing.
As Officer Perez kept talking, the Rampart scandal spread like a cancer throughout the city's criminal justice system. Beginning in September of 1999, conviction after conviction was overturned.
The conviction is set aside and not guilty plea is entered. The matter is ordered dismissed. The court's apology, Mr. Davalos, for what happened to you.
A flood of framed individuals began pouring out of prison.
One day in jail for something you didn't do is one day too long.
Georgi Vashko was an innocent man, set up by the cops. He spent 4 months in prison after the police planted a gun on him.
But I was tied up and left tied up for hours to the point where, my hands were, there was a question whether or not they were going to be amputated.
You do not fight Rampart Division and win at all, ever.
Similar phony evidence also took a big piece of Joseph Jones's life. Perez now admits that he lied in court about Jones selling cocaine. But facing major prison time, Jones felt compelled to take a plea.
I was looking at 32 to life. I would have taken anything.
accept 32 to life.
You pled guilty and agreed to accept an 8-year sentence behind bars.
And I thought I was very lucky. Yes, I did.
So you were innocent completely.
Yes.
Jones spent almost 2.5 years languishing in prison until he got a phone call.
It was the captain and the warden. They said, do you know you're being released tomorrow? And I said, what do you mean? I thought it was like a major joke. And I was released.
What was your reaction?
That's when I knew there was a God.
The guy is facing life. So he pleads guilty to something he didn't even do by virtue of this. So a system where people plead guilty to avoid going to trial. And everybody thinks that's all right. The judge, I mean, what kind of system is that?
The tainted cases took the Rampart scandal from the street to the courtroom. Revelations of cops lying to prosecutors, judges, and juries. Anything to get a conviction. Rocked the fundamentals of justice.
To me, 31 years in the district attorney's office, there has never been a more important case than this case. It goes to the very heart of the criminal justice system.
And it all could have been prevented, say critics.
That the DA dropped the ball in this case, and I think they continue to drop the ball.
Former prosecutor Chris Darden and others charged the DA's office itself ignored years of warning signs that certain elements of the LAPD were out of control.
I can assure you that there were lawyers in the Special Investigations Division of the DA's office who were aware that there was a problem in Rampart.
In fact, according to the LA Times, a year before Perez was finally busted, one of Gil Garcetti's prosecutors alerted a supervising police detective at Rampart that he had doubts about Rafael Perez's credibility. The Rampart detective advised the DA that he was also aware of, quote, problems with Perez. Still, the rogue cop was not stopped and stayed out on the streets, breaking the law.
And I know for a fact that there were lawyers in the DA's office who questioned Perez's character and his veracity many, many years ago, prior to 1997. As a matter of fact, as early as 1995.
As for District Attorney Gil Garcetti, he refused my many requests for an interview on the record. Now the DA's office is facing thousands of cases that may prove tainted. As of last week, 50 had already been overturned. Many more are soon expected to follow. The scope of the scandal has forced the LAPD to launch an unprecedented investigation of itself. It's being directed by Chief Bernard Parks and Deputy Chief Michael Bostic.
Rampart problems, clearly from the Board of Inquiry report, were predictable. People were aware of them. People chose to take no action throughout the organization, and we're now suffering the end result of that today.
I think the report identified some very specific things that we failed to do as an organization, but it didn't go far enough. Why is it that if people saw warning signs, it wasn't communicated up to the chief, or was it, and nothing was done?
In just the first 6 months of this investigation, at least 29 officers have already been relieved of duty, suspended, fired, or resigned, and this is just the beginning.
Well, I think we'll let the investigation determine what the numbers are and the breadth and depth. We're not going to project on that.
They still want to keep a lid on it. It's not as big as it's going to be, believe me.
When LAPD Blues continues, the fight to free a 15-year-old accused of murder.